Hi, welcome to Designed for Connection, where we draw from the truths of science, psychology, and faith to help you flourish in the relationships that matter most to you. So, I just did a four-part series on shame, and there's so much in here that I wanted to add some extra videos, kind of post videos, if you will, that go into a little more detail. So, we talked about in that first series about how in the very beginning, I'm talking Genesis beginning, shame entered the picture. And if you look up in Genesis 3, I think it's Genesis 3:10, it says, and they felt shame. Right after they ate from the tree of knowledge, that God just said, hey, don't do that. And I think he said that because he knew that then we would doubt and question our need for him and for one another. And then shame would enter and destroy our relationships, which is what shame does. So, shame's sole purpose is the enemy of your soul. Shame's sole purpose is to destroy and come in and disconnect, have you feel so disconnected from yourself, from God, and from other people that you start to feel isolated, you start to feel alone, you start to get depressed, you start to feel like you're unworthy and inadequate, which is that's basically what shame does. Now, shame never comes out, I should say rarely comes out and says, shame on you. Nope. Shame usually comes out incognito, usually disguises itself. I mean, shame is like the great deceiver, right? And so it disguises itself with lies and disguises itself um, in subtlety and and sometimes even is silent, you know? So it has really covert tactics. So that's what I want to talk about today is what are some of the tactics of shame? Because again, it rarely comes out and says shame on you. So it uses armor to hide, and the armor shows up as our protection, our defenses, the way that we have learned to move through the world in order to navigate a fallen world, a place where we don't always feel safe, where other people are also navigating with their shame and navigating with their defenses. So, what does that look like in practicality? For me, number one, ding, 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 perfectionism. Oh my gosh. Okay, so shame never really whispers in my ear, you should be ashamed of yourself. It usually whispers in my ear, you need to try harder. Why aren't you trying harder? You need to figure this out. You should know better. And because you said that thing, you need to obsess about it for 5 hours in the middle of the night, trying to figure it out and trying to play God, because you don't need God. You just need you to figure it out. And then I wake up exhausted. I wake up anxious. I wake up without, any, life in me to get things done the way that I'm supposed to. I'm not flourishing. I am not flourishing when perfectionism shows up. So you got to get it right. That's usually, how perfectionism shows up or some version of that. Another way that shame can show up is defensiveness. And this really kind of shows up in the way that I have seen it with my clients is two different ways, and with myself. And those two different ways, that is actually talked about a lot in the 12-step program too, which happens to be a spiritual program. Um, I'm better than you, and so I got this, and you are, whoever you are in relationship with me, you're dumb, you're doing it wrong, and I got it all figured out. And so really it's this protection of placing the lie of placing me above everyone else so that I don't have to feel those feelings that shame elicits, which is inadequacy and unworthiness. Okay, so the second place of defensiveness, And that place, it shows up as it's prideful. The pride comes before the fall. It's a reason that scripture exists, is because it's all linked to that original shame feeling, that shame attendant that shows up, and won't whisper to you, shame on you, or you should feel inadequate. No, it shows up as, they're so stupid. I'm so much better. I'm so much smarter than everybody else. Like, if everybody would think the way that I think, then the world would be a better place, right? Okay. So that's the shame attendant, y'all. It's whispering lies and not the truth, because the truth is, there but for the grace of God go I. We are all equal, really and truly. We may have done different things, we may have said different things, but really our hearts and our souls are equal. Well, nobody is better than anybody else. In God's eyes, we are all fallen and sinners, and we are all very good. And he wants a relationship with us, right? So it's both, and it's not one or the other. And we're only very good because he said we were, and that's where we get our source from. That's the antidote to that greatest lie, that you don't need God. Actually, we do. We need him for our identity. We need him for our value. We need him to tell us, because he designed us, he created us. And so we need him in order to reflect back to us that we are very good. Because otherwise, whew, shame attendant comes in, and we, think we're better than others. Or the second way that this defensive, protective part might show up, that armor against our shame, would show up as, I'm worse than. Everybody's got it figured out. Why can't you get it together? Everybody else knows the answers to this problem, but you don't. You're not very smart. So this is the shame attendant's voice. It doesn't have anything good to say, and it's got a lot of lies. But it'll enter in any way it can. If you'll listen to I'm better than, or if you won't listen to that, it'll get you at you're not as good as. And that is debilitating. It's really just as debilitating as the other. The other is just, an illusion that somehow we're better than, and we're prideful, and, we can walk with a swagger. But the other, makes us feel just as isolated. The end result is the same thing, right? When we're better than, and we're in this prideful place, like nobody else knows what I do, then then really it's a lonely place. It's a very lonely place. And that's the truth. So recognizing these tactics that the shame voice comes in with, it won't tell you shame on you, but it'll tell you you got to get it right. Perfectionism. It'll tell you, you got to defend yourself. You're better than, or you're worse than. Okay. And so some of those ways I also want to just touch on, and I think I'll do it in another video because this is getting long. All right, thanks y'all. I hope you'll tune in again.